Thanks, everyone. David J. Coon with Qigong Awareness, author for Qigong for Beginners, Your Path to Greater Health and Vitality. I'm here to address a hot topic. People want to know. They want to know, can I lose weight doing Qigong? Okay. And the answer is yes. But there are specific exercises that can help you to lose weight, and there are other exercises that probably are not going to help you lose weight very much. Okay. And also, is it possible for you to build muscle like this practicing Qigong? No. Pretty unlikely that you're going to develop that kind of musculature practicing Qigong unless you know some style that I don't know. All right. When we typically think of weight loss, we think in Western terms of what we've heard from our coaches, our trainers, our stuff we've read online. We think in terms of metabolism, and we think in terms of taking in the consumption of food in the form of carbohydrates, which would be like bread, for example, something that has a greater fat content in it, like milk or certain forms of meat. Meat also is a protein. So we have fats, carbohydrates, proteins. And the one that really gets the bad rap, if you will, is all the carbohydrates and all the sugars that we take in, which is carbohydrates. And if you take in too many of those, it actually turns to fat. So you end up with carbohydrates that turn into fat, then you end up with fat that already turns into fat. And then on top of that, you eat protein. For example, some people eat, whether it's eggs or meat or whatever type of protein, could be a soybean or beans. They all have a certain amount of fat in them also. So the fat is like there's fat, there's fat, there's fat, there's fat. Fat is one of those molecules that the body really likes to use and store and hang on to because it's a great source of energy on the level that it is. If all of a sudden the grocery store were to shut down and you had 30 extra pounds of weight, you would be the one laughing because the skinny guy might not make it. Understand? So fat serves it serves a purpose, okay? But when it comes to wanting to be fit, wanting to feel healthier, wanting to feel more energy, wanting to keep our heart healthy, and so on, we don't want to be overweight. Plus, on top of that, we may not like the way we look in our shirt or our jeans or whatever, which is just a choice, right? But I know that obviously that's a big thing for a lot of people. They want to look a certain way, they want to have a certain image, whatever. Anyway, so, and the heavier we get, the harder it is to get up and down the stairs or get out of bed, especially as we get older. So, anyway, so when we talk about losing weight, okay, from a Western perspective and like listening to your physical fitness trainer, for example, I would say to you, get on the treadmill, get your heart rate up. We're going to monitor your heart rate. We want to get you up to 80% of your maximum heart rate. We want to get you exercising 20 minutes pretty much as a warm up. Once you get past 20 minutes, you're going to start burning calories. Some people are like, oh my God, I got to go 20 minutes just to warm up. And then 10 minutes, going to take me 10 minutes after the 20 minutes to actually like burn some calories. That's really challenging, right? Especially if you're injured or something. So do those methods work? Running, getting on the treadmill, fasting, for example, not eating anything for a while and getting on the treadmill. Do those things work? Yes. What about lifting some weights? What about doing some push ups? Yes, all of those things contribute. Now, when you're practicing those types of exercises, you are doing what's called speeding up your metabolism. You are generating a greater heat in the body. If you've ever exercised, okay, you're going to get hot, you're going to sweat. One of those things that happens during that kind of exercise, you get really hot and you start sweating, okay? And you will lose weight from those practices. And not just because you're sweating out water and then losing the water that you drank, but because you're actually burning calories. Now, what a lot of people want to do when it comes to weight loss is they think the harder they work and the harder they sweat, the more they're going to burn calories. But in general, that's not true because you actually have to work for an extended period of time. So, what a lot of beginners like to do is they go walk around the block 10 minutes as fast as they can and they practically kill themselves like like, there's for them, they're sprinting. And then they wonder why they're not losing any calories because you actually have to go for an extended length of time, typically, past 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, to where now you're starting to burn the fat because the body doesn't like to burn that fat. All right. So, what you want to know is, are there any tricks that I have for you with Qigong that can help you lose weight, especially if for some reason, like you can't ride the bike, or you just even hate riding the bike, or you hate running, or your knee is injured, or whatever? Can Qigong contribute? Yes, it can. Are there different forms that are going to be better for you? Yes, absolutely. There's over 3,000 different styles of Qigong. I only know like 10 or less. So I will tell you though, out of the ones that I know, there are certain ones that are going to work better to help you lose weight than others. So when we talk about this, and I'm going to go just a little bit more, and then I want to show you an exercise later. We can get into this stuff in greater detail. One of the interesting things about the practice that I'm going to show you, let's just go ahead and do it. I'll talk to you while we're doing the practice. So here's an interesting practice, okay? So we have this area here, and this area is called lower dantian. It's kind of in and around the navel center, okay? And in Japanese martial arts, they call this area the hara, all right? And they talk about power being generated from here, all right? And this area is known in martial arts and healing practices of Chinese medicine to get very hot, all right? That's a piece that I need you to know about. So I want you to go ahead and take your hands. You're going to hold just like this, like you're holding a ball right here at this area, like again, this lower dantian, and you're just holding here, okay? This is a static position right here, sometimes called a mudra. And literally, I'm going to tell you a secret. I want you, after this video is over, sometime later, to set your timer, and I want you to set your timer for 15 minutes, and I want you to try and stand like this. And if you can hack it, I want you to try for 20. 20 would be better. All right. 20 is where, if we were working together and I was teaching you fitness, I would say, get on that life cycle and give me 20 minutes. And once we get to 21 minutes, we're going to start counting how many calories you're burning, so to speak. Okay. So for our Qigong practice, it's roughly the same. We need to stand here and we need to go. 15 minutes is all right. 20 is better. Get to 20 minutes. Here's the experiment I want you to do. What happens to your temperature by the time you get to about 20 minutes from just standing here? We're not moving our legs up and down. We're not jumping all around. We're not doing all these kinds of things. I want you to watch what happens when you stand like this for 20 minutes. I will tell you that 95+% of you are going to get very hot. Some of you are going to get extremely hot. You're going to feel like, holy cow, I'm cooking. I'm in a sauna. What in God's name is happening? Now, that in and of itself is a mystery. I could spend the rest of the weekend teaching you about it in one of my workshops. But I just want to turn you on to the very beginning mystery of it because your friends won't have the answer. You'll say, I stood here for 20 minutes like this. I didn't even get on my treadmill. At first, my knees were really aching and my hips hurt. And then all of a sudden, all that seemed to move. And I felt a tingling through my whole body. And I don't even know what it was. I think they call it chi. I'm not really sure. And I was sweating and I walked away and I could breathe better. I have no idea what happened, but it was very bizarre. Now, in general and somewhat specific, that's what many of you will experience. What you don't know, and you won't be able to evaluate doing this one time, hey, did that have any influence on me? Did I lose 3 pounds? You're not going to lose 3 pounds like that, not in one time. But over a month, you practice it on a daily basis or an every other day basis, especially in conjunction with some other Qigong exercises that I have for you, you're going to start heating up. You're going to start increasing your metabolism. They've even done studies on the breath changes that happen during Qigong and when the exhalation starts becoming more prominent and you're exhaling. There's some studies out there that suggest that you can literally burn calories that way. So, what's also very important here, and I'm feeling it as I'm talking to you, that's why I had to pause there for a moment, It's already changing my breath. This lower dantian, what we call lower dantian, is connected to your kidneys and it influences your kidneys. Now, what does that have to do with anything? Well, your kidneys regulate your water retention in the body. In order for you to gain weight, lose weight, a lot of that has to do with water. Yes, it has to do with fat too, has to do with your metabolism. The lower dantian is the house of what we call Jing, which means essence. And as that gets heated up and as it gets cooked and as it gets further refined, this is often how it's taught about in Qigong practices, and the energy moves up into your solar plexus, this area here. You will start getting this growling sensations and you'll start to get saliva at the back of your throat. What's happening? What is happening is that your digestion is beginning to move. The saliva is an indication that the parasympathetic, the rest and digest system is starting to activate itself, which means your body, rather than just being stuck and stagnant and putting on more heaviness, more stagnation, which part of that is putting on more fat. Rather than that, the digestion is moving, moving. When you exercise on a treadmill, you get things moving. You know what's really interesting about static positions like this? They really get the internal system moving. Let me show you one other exercise. We're going to bring the hands out and we're going to inhale here. As we exhale, we're going to sit our weight down and we're going to make the sound somewhat like a medium pace here. Not too quiet, not too loud, not too forceful. This sound is said to be a liver cleansing sound. Liver's here. Helps detoxify the blood in your body. It's closely associated with the gallbladder that processes what? Fats. Float your hands just like this. Hold them right there. Imagine like puppet strings right here. Now turn your hands like this. Let the elbows droop. This is an old practice, very ancient practice, 5,000 years old, called standing like a post. The combination of these three exercises that I just showed you will begin to set your metabolism on fire. They are a shortcut to losing weight. That is a very different approach than going to the gym and lifting weights, and it's a very different approach than getting on the life cycle and the treadmill. It is absolutely part of my regime and part of my regular practices. And I guarantee you over time, if you practice this, especially with a little walking around the neighborhood and so on, these types of things will absolutely contribute to the speeding up of your metabolism. The benefit of the Qigong practice, not just in the losing weight aspect, although that's what we're talking about here, but part of the losing of the weight comes in because you begin to regulate the parasympathetic rest and digest system, and you begin to balance the endocrine system, your hormones, your hormones. So if you're wrestling with hypothyroid, for example, not enough thyroid, which is related to the thyroid gland in the throat, then your doctor has probably told you, you know, you're gaining weight because of that. So balancing these hormone centers, that one would be in the throat, related to a chakra, an energy center in the throat. Very, very important and can absolutely contribute to weight loss. Inhale, exhale. Oh. And interestingly enough, sometimes I do videos like this, and people will say, you know, I don't have difficulty with losing weight. I have difficulty with gaining weight. That is another indication of imbalance within the body. So rather than just going to extremes, Qigong practice rather than just going to extremes of like, go to the treadmill and go do this and go lift weights and so on. There's a place for that. Okay. I'm that guy too. I like doing those things too. But if we're injured, we have other things going on, we're not into those kinds of exercises. These exercises are a great shortcut, a great hack to access some of these things. Oftentimes, I'll say to people that you can get I've run just shy of a marathon's the longest race that I did, and it like say mile 13 of 23 miles. Um, I felt so similar to how I feel practicing some of these practices for an hour at a time with Qigong, that like the place that I experienced in my own body and the catharsis and the challenge of it and everything, very similar to the Qigong practices that I've done in my own living room. So it's kind of interesting how we can access some of the same places through these different means of exercise. So thanks for tuning in. You got any questions, let me know. We'll definitely come back and do some more videos and some greater instruction on weight loss because I think it's a very important subject. And again, for those who can't hit the treadmill or get on the bike or get to the gym, whether it's a motivation thing or literally a physical limitation thing, Qigong provides you ways and means to access these things that you can get. Like they talk about runner's high is to me, it's like a Qigong high. There's different ways to get to it. I teach class every Thursday, 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Feel free to come tune in to class and make some documentations for yourself and see what you can do in terms of losing weight. We've had people in our certification program and so on. There was one guy, I believe it was 45 pounds that he lost. I honestly don't remember if it was over 6 months or a year. But because he balanced himself out, he also healed his back pain doing these types of practices. And this is without the cardio, this is without going to the gym, so on. So is it possible? It's definitely possible. And that 5:30 to 6:30 class that I teach every Thursday, if you can't make it live, that's okay. They're recorded. Once you sign up for the month, you actually have access to all of those previous classes that I taught. There's literally like a year's worth of classes. You have plenty of classes to practice to help you lose some weight if that's what you're desiring to do and bring some balance to your life. Thanks for tuning in. I'm David J. Coon with Qigong Awareness. See you again soon.